Hello and welcome to the IU College Insider podcast, a collaboration between the College of Arts and Sciences at Indiana University Bloomington and Indiana Public Media. We'll be sharing the voices and experiences of guests who'll shed light on what college is really like and how higher education is impacting our workforce, communities, economy, our state, and society. Today, we're breaking down what students and families need to know when applying to college, and how to make smarter, more informed choices along the way. I'm Rich Hardy, Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education in the College of Arts and Sciences. We're delighted to have two experts joining us today for this conversation. First, we have Sacha Thieme. She's the Assistant Vice Chancellor and Executive Director of the Office of Admissions here at IU Bloomington. And she is also a proud IU and, very importantly, college alumna.
That's right.
Next, we have Jakob Breunig. He is the Director of Recruiting here in the College of Arts and Sciences at IU Bloomington. Thanks so much, both of you, for joining us. We'll get into the questions. So, Sacha, this first question is for you.
Great.
As we're recording this, it's that time of year. We're in the midst of undergraduate admissions here at IU and around the country. Applications are in. Students are looking at making decisions. But for those students who are in high school and their parents who are just beginning this college admissions journey, what can you, as the head of admissions at IU Bloomington, what can you tell us about what students should be thinking and looking for when it comes to making decisions and identifying where they're going to apply to schools?
Rich, that's such a great question. We are in this interesting time of the season where we have students who have been admitted, who now need to decide where they're attending, and then students who are maybe juniors in high school, or maybe they're, attending college somewhere else, and they need to think about if they want to apply to college next year. And we really, in some ways, for both groups, we really want students to think about places where they can genuinely thrive. And I know that can sound kind of broad, but there's a lot of ways that students can go about it. So for our students who are juniors in high school who are thinking about the college search, thinking less about how to get in and really identifying the places where they can find an academic, a social, a personal fit. And I think there's a lot of ways that they can go about that. So it starts with focusing on themselves. I once had a really brilliant colleague who said the best tool in this college search as a junior as a high school is a mirror. The more you can learn about yourself, what makes you tick, what gets you excited, what brings you joy, that can be from what you like to study to the environment that you study in that helps you feel successful. And so those are all things that students can do now. We also think about, when evaluating schools more closely, pay attention to whether they have programs that you're interested in. At IU, we tell students, think about places that offer academic flexibility. So it's really hard to imagine. I think we're going to get into this maybe a little bit later. I'm sure today we'll talk about this, but it's really hard to imagine exactly what you're going to do years from now. I mean, for many of us as adults, we may be still thinking about what we're going to be doing and how we're going to craft that career. So a place that offers you the flexibility in academics, the flexibility in experiences, whether those are things like study abroad or research, we can talk about all of those things, and a place that makes learning enjoyable and exciting. So those are some things that we tell students to think about. You can explore that through online, through visits, through materials. So those are just some places to start, I think.
Jakob, you're one of the first folks that prospective students get to see and speak with when they come onto campus. What are some of the things that you're hearing from them? What kind of questions, both important and also maybe not quite as important, are they asking?
Absolutely. Well, I'm really fortunate because I get to work here at IU Bloomington that the first thing I hear from most parents and students is, oh my goodness, this campus is gorgeous. Or how is this place so amazing hidden in such a small town? So that's a point of pride that we have. And it is important, right? The learning environment, like we were talking about, what kind of campus is right for a student is key. There are those students who really want to be in a big, urban setting. They want to be in a city where their college or university is not a big part of it. And there's others who want the experience we have at IU where it really is, the town is built around the institution. That's what we're all here for. The biggest thing that I'm hearing from students and families is simultaneous excitement and trepidation. They're thrilled. They're at this new stage of their life. They're so excited. The students are ready to leave home. The students are ready to sort of go on this next chapter. Parents are excited their students have made it, but obviously also concerned about them leaving the nest. But the trepidation from both is really, what comes next? Are we making the right decision? And that comes from both parents and students. There's a lot of decision anxiety.
Yeah.
Is this the right place? What's the right major? There are so many students who we get who their first question is, I'm thinking of this major. Is it the right one? And it's, maybe. They can change their major. They may well add a second one, add a minor, and there's a good chance that there's a major for them they have never heard of. Again, at most large schools, there are a lot of majors. At IU, there's well over 100 from things within media, things within design, things within the natural sciences, economics, business, you name it, we do it. And I think getting students to be comfortable exploring is one of the biggest jobs that my team in recruiting really does. Like we talked about, a successful student is a student who's thriving, and a thriving student is a student who's taken this opportunity to explore and do things and try things out. And so one of the biggest jobs that we have as recruiters and admissions personnel is really to get students to feel comfortable doing that and to feel secure doing that, to give them a sort of permission that, it's going to be okay. You will do well when you leave here. You will do better if that's what you do.
Yeah.
And just basically trying to get them beyond this idea that any decision I make now is kind of that terminal decision, that there's no going back, I've got to get it right. And that's just it's not the way our students work. It's not the way university works. So.
No, and it's not built that way. Again, sort of all of our degrees have plenty of general education credits. And I know that sometimes these are viewed as frustrating things to be gotten out of the way, or the boring things you do before you get to the good stuff. But no, this is where the exploration happens. This is where students discover what's impactful to them, discover what they have passion for, discover what's going to drive them to be successful. Because frankly, what happens after those classes is things get harder. That's the biggest change, is things get much more challenging. And so it's important for students to take those early steps as they're exploring universities to find the places where they're going to have the sort of drive and excitement to get through the tough stuff. Because, a large university, a prestigious university like IU, is a challenging and rigorous place to attend. It's why employers want our graduates. They know that they have done something incredible by going here.
One of the things that we do offer for students in a visit is we have our student ambassadors, our tour guides that are up there, and they rattle off, I mentioned academic flexibility. IU definitely has that. We encourage students to mix and match. And so these amazing students rattle off, 2 majors, 3 minors, throw in a language, a certificate. And we are careful to tell families and students that didn't start that way. If you ask any one of those students, when they were in your seat, they maybe had ideas, but it is having this space to have those take shape with the supportive advisors and faculty. And it makes me think of, too, this idea of linear pathways. Career advisement is starting so early for students. I mean, in 7th grade here in Indiana, they're starting some of this career ideation. And in some ways, I really love it. I mean, it's the idea of getting students thinking about a future. Goal orientation is beyond your undergraduate degree is a great predictor of success. So I think it's wonderful in some ways. But in order to do that, to meet a student where they are, often that happens by introducing, you can guess, business and medicine and law and engineering, right? These very specific pathways. And then not only thinking how you could get to the point where you're mixing and matching different programs, but even those programs are not linear. The combinations you can put together to get to any one of those can be beautifully complex and equally successful. So I hear that too a lot from students. They want the right answer, but really it's the right answer for you, and then how you blend that to make that the perfect outcome for you.
And one piece that we really talk about in our campus visits is our life design curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So now in the college, we have these two course career sequences. And the first one is the course students take their first year here. And often we'll get parents and students say, like, a career course, I just got there. Why would I take that my first year? And it's, we're not doing resumes. We're not doing interviews. Those are important skills that they'll need, but we're not there yet. It really is about taking these design thinking principles, this whole system from Stanford, that encourages the student to really view their degree and their career and their future through a design thinking process. So rather than linearly, like A, B, and C, we think, well, let's say we're going to design a brand new way of getting from here to your home. And it's not a car and it's not a boat. You have to design something new. Well, you wouldn't start with a perfect outline. That's not possible. You have to research. You have to try things out. You have to prototype. You have to fail. You have to fail multiple times.
Yeah.
But through that, the end result is so much more powerful. And that's really what we're kind of pushing students towards finding is just that piece. It's so important when we see sort of all this anxiety from new students and prospective students to really center that and let them know that it's okay, it's happening, it's real, and it's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
The institution exists to support you through this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sacha, with that in mind, what do admissions teams look for in applicants and applications? What stands out? What impresses an admissions officer? And, what's the way that an applicant can really put their best foot forward in this process?
So what we're ultimately looking for are a couple of themes. We are looking for a student who is academically prepared and ready to be successful in the environment that we provide. Right? We're looking for a student who would fit socially and personally in the experience that is offered here, who would take advantage of it, who would be engaged in it. And then a student who is going to be a member of our community for as long as they are here, right? So the way we pull that from the application can look very different depending on what the student has provided. But from the academic component, we see their academic preparation as evident of their transcript. We can start to get an idea of their intellectual curiosity from the courses that they choose to take, maybe the activities that they're connected in. I talk to students about this idea of experience with and engagement in. So the more that you are learning about the courses that you like or don't like, or the activities that you are pursuing, not the laundry list of activities. I mean, kind of anyone can show up for 51-hour meetings. Right. But it's where you choose to spend your time and what you're gaining from that, and then how they tell us about that experience. And so that gives us this idea of their early academic interest. The engagement tells us, will they take advantage of the research and the study abroad, internship experience, working with faculty? And then the other pieces of engagement and community, what does their application tell us about their service to others, or how they contribute to their school community, to their larger community, how they value that experience? That gives us some insight into whether they would be a good fit for the environment that we have, both academically and socially, but also, are they going to be a contributing and engaged community member? And that's everything from going to class, raising your hand, to, cheering on their fellow Hoosiers who are their peers, in our 24 sports and one Hoosier team, or an IU production that is produced, directed, or acted by one of their peers or themselves. So all of those things come through, and we get a lot of hints to that, to the application process. And then we talk about that for every school in this state and every state in this country on the domestic side, as well as then we have our international recruitment, there is someone assigned to you as your representative. And we encourage you to engage with them. Don't call them 80 times. That's not necessary. But if we can provide any information that is helpful for you to understand how this could be a good fit, that is an important way to stand out. And that's an important way to inform your research of whether this could be a good fit for you. So that's our primary goal. So if we are not able to admit a student, we don't want the student to feel that's a reflection of their worth or their ability. It could be that our goals shift. We have so many enrollment spaces, so many program spaces, and one, maybe the major you're interested in only has so many spaces. We like to give students opportunities to pick other majors. So that's an option too. So there could be a number of different reasons that we're not able to offer admission, but we will always help you find a pathway. And so we work really hard to try and keep students lifted and encouraged in this process.
And I'm so glad, Sacha, that you mentioned that idea of sort of being part of a broader college community.
Yeah.
I think like a place like IU, we have the largest living alumni base in the country. And we take that very seriously. We want to find people who will be involved as a student and be successful as a student, but also who will be involved moving forward. Our students benefit so immensely from interaction and time that is given to them by so many of our alumni as it stands. And again, it's the idea is that you're not just coming to this place to earn a credential. That's an important part of it. Yeah. But you're coming to this place to become part of a broader community. And again, it's a lot of that is matching. Like you might be an applicant who's really academically rigorous, but that doesn't mean this is the right community for you. Yeah. And that's okay. It doesn't make you a poor applicant or anything like that. So really, again, that the community aspect I think is so key and so missing a lot in our conversations about college admissions is really viewing it as you're not just investing in if you're the student yourself or if you're the parent in your child's future. Those are happening. But you're investing in something larger than yourself and becoming part of something larger than yourself. And it's a really transformative and incredible opportunity if you take it seriously.
I might be remiss if I didn't reference the big red wave for the national championship playoffs, right? That commentators talked about. Yeah. That is being part of something larger than yourself when alumni showed up in force to support each other. So I love that imagery that you just gave. Something else that you said earlier that I wanted to tie to when it comes to the application, and that is the fear of not presenting everything perfect. That we have never made a mistake, we have never had a bad paper or a bad assignment or a bad grade or lost, maybe got fired from our first job or, whatever that is, that everything in that application has to be flawless. And actually, you mentioned this, like failing fast can be a powerful learning experience. And we want students to, my goodness, if we can learn what you learned from that could tell us a lot about your readiness because you may have matured in ways or grown in ways that other students who have not had that experience just have not been presented with the opportunity to do so. And so students shouldn't shy away from that. There's certainly, maybe a way that you can describe that really reflects that maturity and learning, but they shouldn't just think that everything has to be perfect.
Yeah, I think the sort of the understanding of how powerful vulnerability can be in these types of situations. I didn't do it perfectly, but I recovered. I moved on. I got help. This has helped me through.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we know. Research, another predictor, is the evidence of a support person. We know it's the best students who ask for help in class. We know it's the best students who actually reach out to their faculty members. And so students who have already learned that's a great predictor that they're going to take advantage of that when they get here. And that's helpful to us. Yeah,
it's sort of, I've told families before that, if you're a perfect student, we can't help you. Like we have nothing to teach you. You should go somewhere else. And that's so important to be remembering. Another piece really sort of to echo Sacha too is we want to see the interest in taking risks and in trying things new. Yeah. IU has so many options, and so do schools like us. Big schools like this, I will often tell families when students come that, if you're a student here and you go to every class and you attend every lecture and you get all A's, but you do nothing else, you have fundamentally wasted your time here. That, your in-class academics are important, but what makes a school like a Big Ten school or like IU especially stand out is all of the things that go around and complement your coursework, whether it's research, internship, study abroad. There's so much to do. And if when you're applying, you seem like someone who won't do it, well, then that's not a good use of our time and resources. We want students who are going to come here and take the dare. Yeah,
I think it is so important to recognize how much learning and development occurs, most of it really occurring outside of the classroom, and the co-curricular, the extracurricular, the social activities all play into that. and really, that's the college experience, right? So
yeah.
Okay, so for both of you, we'll talk a little bit about affordability. Obviously, college is a significant investment. It's an investment of both time and money. So what is it about what is IU doing? What resources do we have to make undergraduate education very cost effective for both the students and the parents?
So one of the things that we talk about in the Office of Enrollment Management is that affordability we recognize as a relative term, right? Only a family can determine if something is affordable. So what we can do is try to put resources, real programs, real opportunities, real preparation in place to help a family both understand if that is the case and support that being the case. So this has been a central priority for the university, and it comes through in a lot of different ways. One, holding resident tuition flat, right? Another is two brand new grants for Indiana residents, the Hoosier Crossroads and Crimson Commitment, that are going to help directly support families. And then looking for other ways, I think, to mitigate costs. E-Tech's initiative to make course materials more affordable. Resources like Money Sparks to help students understand how to manage finances. And then one of the things that the access to resources. So here at IU, we are unique in that we have an entire office dedicated to scholarships. It's actually called the Office of Scholarships. I like a thing that says what it is. And so that right there tells students and families, hopefully, that we are committed to this. It doesn't exist in that way at other places. And one of the things I'm really proud of is the effort to centralize the scholarship search process. So like many universities, we have scholarships that we offer students at the time of admission based on their academic performance. That's a merit-based scholarship. But we have this, Jakob referenced this beautiful alumni base and tremendous number of supporters of the university that are pouring money into our students through scholarships. Well, that can be pretty overwhelming to know, how will I know if I match for something? And so we have centralized that process where through one application, a student can have access to every scholarship for which they'd be eligible to apply. And we do a lot of that then matching for them. And what I also love is that at IU, it's not just one and done. Every year that you are here, we are gathering more of those scholarships, right? And every year that you are here, you're gathering more experience. And so students go back into that process and new matches can be made. And so I think students and families don't always, families do, students don't. When I say the search for scholarships never stops. It's an ongoing thing, but it's really true. Like, you are always trying to source whatever you're trying to achieve. And that is the case here, but we're trying to make those pathways possible. And then efforts to give students tools like degree mapping and advising and faculty support to get them here and out in the time to degree that they are seeking. The accelerated master's programs that allow students to begin their graduate work before the traditional 4-year undergraduate term is up and walk out of here in 5 years with a graduate degree. That, I think, that also goes with the mix and matching of opportunities, so ways that they can be really efficient and focused on their return on the investment.
And I think that ROI conversation is so important because, yes, the affordability things that Sacha has discussed are really key, and financial aid is key, scholarships are key, and these are important pieces. But another piece is really thinking about the narrative around the cost of college and thinking about the ROI on college in a different way. There's lots of coverage about like the student loan crisis and things like that. And what's lost in there often is the nuance that comes out in the data, which is that for people who successfully graduate, there isn't one. By and large, those who successfully graduate from a 4-year school are able to make their loan payments, to pay them off fairly quickly, and to prosper. Most of that really comes from folks who are unable to complete a degree, which is a tragic thing that we do a lot of work here at IU through our advising and academic supports to ensure doesn't happen. But it's an important thing to know going into it. Another piece of the ROI piece is just, there's a lot of conversation about, well, is it really important? Do you really need it for a job? Is it really? And the univocal answer from the employment sector is yes, you do. So the American Association of Colleges and Universities every few years does this large employer survey. At this most recent one, they interviewed over 1,000 executives and hiring professionals and found that, 85% of these people said that colleges were doing a great job of preparing the workforce. 73% believed that the degree was worth the financial investment and that they wanted graduates with a degree to prosper. So again, it's this idea of it is worth it. Now, if we're focusing on ROI and we're thinking on where you want to go, a really important thing to be thinking about is what does a university offer to help that end goal. Academics are key. Talented faculty are key, but they don't by themselves make a career. And this is where, again, a large school like IU has a lot of options for things like, studying abroad, for things like internships, things like project-based learning, experiential learning. Again, that same AACU survey found that employers really value students who have done those kinds of things. They want students who haven't just succeeded in traditional classrooms, but they want students who have done things where they've produced deliverables, where they've gotten new experiences. All of those pieces really go together to make students appealing when they're done. A final note on this is I often tell students, we get really caught up in the degree, but when you're done and you're going for your job interview, everyone else being interviewed has your degree. It's no longer like that got you in the door. What gets you the career is what did you do while you were earning it? What did you do to stand out? What did you do, again, to develop yourself as a person? Like we were talking about, this college experience gives you so many opportunities, but lots of students don't take it. And so that is just so key. A final piece on those experiences, too, is a lot of people will hear that and say, well, that's great, but studying abroad costs a lot of money or internships are unpaid. And one thing I'm really proud of here at IU and the college is that we have this really robust experiential learning funding. And sort of like Sacha mentioned, we always work to centralize our scholarships to make it easier for students to find money that's there for them. So here now, if you're doing any kind of experience, whether it's study abroad or an internship or an artist residency or something like that, you can apply through one portal and immediately, if you qualify, get funding to help that happen and to help support that, because we know the transformative power of these experiences. Our alumni and donors know these too, and they've done a lot of work to ensure that every student has a chance to experience these things. Because again, the cost is what it is. We do what we can to defer it, but it's there and it's real. And what's most important for a family is to focus on that ROI and to focus on, well, what are we getting back for our money? And what is the life-changing experience, not just for personal development, but for long-term career success for our student?
So, I mean, we referenced return on investment in answers to the last question. I think many students feel as though, we spoke to this earlier as well, I have to pick the right major in order to get the right career, in order to earn the right amount of money. So to wrap this conversation up, how do we go about speaking with students who have a definitive path that they've already decided? I don't go into med school, and also those students who come in a little less decided about where they want to be.
So I think whether a student is determined that they have found the right path, or whether they are so overwhelmed with uncertainty and think that they're never going to find anything, I think in some ways it's similar, because for the student who has, and you kind of alluded to this when you get to the employer stage, or you get to the graduate school, you get to the med school panel, you could have been on that very specific path, but what else did you add? Where did you add the color to your, the nuance to your personal experience? And that's where the mixing and matching that we see students do. I mean, gosh, vast majority, I think 60% or something, are changing their major still. That's been a stat forever. But we have the majority of our students coming out of Indiana University with more than one program. And that's just the reality, right? Because what do you want to tell those employers about the combination of things that you were studying? And so when I think about the students who maybe are looking at medicine or they're looking at law, there's a lot of ways that you can get there. But what I would encourage students to explore from a university is one that offers me support to get there. I mean, here we have the Health Professions and Pre-Law Advising Group. That's a dedicated group of professionals that know all the requirements for all the different pathways. which gives you the freedom to pick a combination of majors to get you there and still know you're going to get the requirements met. So that's for the student maybe who is very specific. Follow that opportunity for as long as it serves you. It could change, but then consider what else you can add to it. And because of the number of students who are bringing in external credit, our advisors are very adept at helping students align that credit with their academic interests. And then for the students who are uncertain, you mentioned career exploration services, we don't just stop there. Mm-hmm. So you use those services to help you identify maybe your first program. But what I love is that as your interests become more specific, so does that career advising. Mm-hmm. We add in more career centers that are within the specific schools that helps your career advisor become more sophisticated. So I think that it's less about picking the right major on the way in as it is finding the right path while you're here and making sure that you're supported in that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Sort of, speaking into that pre-professional pathway, the health professions pre-law advisors are incredible. They have great data, and I recently met with them. They let me know that last year a student from our unit got into Johns Hopkins Medical School, and his major was history.
Love it.
And that was a real draw for him, actually. Mm-hmm. He took the required science curriculum to do well on the MCAT. He was a talented student. But what made him stand out among the other applicants to that was that he had done something different. He had done something that he was rigorously passionate about. And sort of, again, to harken back to something I mentioned earlier, if you are really in one of these pre-professional pathways, there's a lot of work ahead of you. And so what's really important is finding something that you can put your heart into and put all of your time into and enjoy. If you want to be a doctor and you hate chemistry, you might want to explore other pre-med pathways, and that's okay. You will still have to take a lot of chemistry, but it's an important thing to be balancing. And then to echo the exploration thing too, here at IU, you can be undecided on a major for 2 years and still graduate on time.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of support for students in that situation. We want students to find the right piece. Because again, to tie it back to the career piece, a lot of our students and even some of our parents really mistakenly think that, okay, my major will definitely equal my career, that I have to get this exact major to get this exact career. Whereas we know from our alumni that is not true at all. We had a recent event. We had the CEO of a major philanthropic organization, and her bachelor's degree is in journalism. Last year, we had the former CEO of Clorox. His bachelor's degree was in history. It's not about the exact right degree. It's about the degree that gets you fired up, that gets you to do the exceptional things that make you stand out, that will help you for the rest of your life.
I'd like to just step back to something you referenced earlier as well, Jacob, the Q295, the design thinking approach to your college career and what might come next. I mean, I think a very important component of that class is a lot of self-reflection for students, freed from maybe some external pressures that might have been, okay, this is the career path we want you to go on. Is this your passion? Is this what you want to do? Is this what you're good at? Where do your talents actually lie? And allowing students the space to think about that with some guidance and being told it's okay to change your mind.
That's right. You mentioned something, too, this goes up with Richard, that self-reflection, because we know that students are graduating into a work landscape that is ever evolving. And so as we tell families, just like it's really unlikely you're only going to study one thing at IU, it is also really unlikely you're only going to do one thing in this lifetime. And so this is the chance to really understand kind of where those interests are and those combinations, because it can set you up for a beautifully diverse career landscape when you graduate.
So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. This conversation was genuinely useful for anyone who's embarking on this process. And for everyone watching or listening, thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to the IU College Insider, a collaboration between the College of Arts and Sciences at Indiana University Bloomington and Indiana Public Media. See you next time.